Right in the middle of the pandemic, I quit a six-figure consulting job to start my own software and design agency. It has been a wild ride so far. I've learned a ton, I've really enjoyed it, but I've made tons of mistakes, and I kind of want to talk about those mistakes, the things I've learned along the way. So I should probably introduce myself first. My name is Jaden. I've been a software engineer / tech lead / manager for the past 6 years or so, and I own 2 software-related businesses that I'm really excited about. Those we'll probably talk about at a later time, but for now, I kind of want to talk about what I've done so far, why I quit my 6-figure job, and what you can learn from the mistakes that I've made along the way. So first off, thanks to everyone who submitted a question. I really appreciate it, and it helps make this video a little bit more fun. The first question is, why did you pick Accenture? So the 6-figure consulting job that I talked about at the beginning was with Accenture. I was really excited to join that team. I have friends and family who have worked there in the past and they enjoyed it. But the main reason that I went with Accenture overall and with a larger consulting firm in general is because I really wanted to get experience and a foundation for my career that I could take literally anywhere. And a lot of the big 4 consulting firms or any one that you meet is going to say the same thing about it being a great foundation, a great place you can start. And one thing that I loved about Accenture specifically is that they have a lot of different branches within the Accenture family. And in doing so, you can kind of switch between them if you need to. At least that's what I was told at the beginning. And you can try different things as your skill set changes or as your interests change a little bit. You can swap between industries or between different tech stacks or tools. And I thought that was really cool and a great opportunity that I wanted to take advantage of, especially so early in my career. So that's why I chose Accenture. Okay, the next question is, what was the best and worst part about working at a large firm? So this might apply to other firms. I really only have experience from Accenture as far as a large firm, and they have something like 550,000 employees right now, so I would definitely consider that a large firm. The teams that I'm working on were relatively large. The things that I loved about having a big company like that is the fact that you can do so many different things without looking for a different job. You can swap between projects, you can work with different people, and it can be so different throughout your experience at a single company without having to worry about interviews and things like that. So I loved that aspect, but something that I didn't like quite as much was the fact that there's so much overhead in the tasks that you have to do, and those are usually passed off to the analysts, associates, and consultants. So that's a lot of the work that I was doing, unfortunately, at least before I was more of a consultant, senior consultant. The thing is, really what you end up doing is spending a lot of your time with busy work like drafting Excel models or working on PowerPoint decks to present things to the client. And even sometimes I'd spend 50, 60 hours in a week working on a specific PowerPoint deck for an important presentation, and that deck would not even be used, so just get thrown away. And that is terrible. It hurts, and it's so frustrating to see. And that's the nature of the work. They still paid me for that work, so I shouldn't be so disappointed. But as far as fulfillment in what you're doing, that really does take a little bit of the wind out of your sails when you're working really hard for something and it doesn't get used. So I would say that's probably my least favorite aspect of working at a big company. Okay, the next question is, why did you leave your job? Okay, so this is the question that I kind of opened the video with. It's probably in the title of this video, but I ended up choosing to leave my job for a couple of reasons. One was I wasn't seeing the type of career fulfillment that I was excited about and the original reason that I joined the company. But I know that might be a little bit more specific to my situation than any form of advice. I think as far as the timing of that, the reason I chose now is because my expenses at this point are lower than they're going to be in the future, I assume. And in doing so, I'm taking the minimum amount of risk that I can in order to try and grow something on my own. So I love entrepreneurship and I love trying to build companies and software and working with clients and managing teams. It's something that I really enjoy and I'm trying to get better at. So I wanted to take a chance. I wanted to take that chance on my own career and try and build something on my own. And I figured this is the best time as far as risks are concerned to go for it, try and make it happen. And if it fails, I just go find another job. But I really don't want that to happen. And that's why I'm working so hard to keep these companies alive. Okay, next question. Will you review my portfolio, please? Sure, why not? I've reviewed portfolios before. There's probably a link somewhere here to the last portfolio review that I did. I really enjoy doing that, kind of helping junior developers get jobs. I've hired quite a few junior developers, and so I have a few comments on what I think works and doesn't work in your portfolio website. So if you want to get yours reviewed, just put a link on Twitter and tag me in it, and I'll probably review it and give you some pointers. So hopefully that helps. Okay, next question is, how did you learn to code and how long have you been coding? I've been coding, as I mentioned, for the past 6 years or so. Well, professionally, as in like employed to write code for the past 6 years. I think I've been writing code for somewhere like 8 or 9 years, but I'd have to look at the old journal to find out exactly when that was. As far as how I learned to code, sometime around high school or just after, I discovered some Microsoft coding challenge where you got to like explore, I think it was in C++ or something like that. And it was a blast. I really enjoyed it. Going from there, I worked in a few roles where I had the opportunity to use things like VBA and Excel, automate things, make stuff faster. And I just love the fact that programming is a way for you to make your life easier, significantly easier, build cool tools, and it doesn't really cost anything. The inputs aren't, it's just your time and your knowledge that goes into actually writing a program. And honestly, I think it was just fun to be able to create something and build something on my own. It's a fun way to be creative without needing to be an artist or have any skill in that regard. So I really enjoy it. And learning to code for me was more of a self-taught experience, as well as, learning on the job, the things that I needed to know. I did get a degree in information systems, so we did learn a few languages like Python and some CS classes, but I think for the most part, the things that I use every day today are mostly self-taught. Okay, the next one I think comes from something that I talked about in my last video, and is, do you recommend boot camps? I will say yes and no. I think there are so many boot camps that are doing things in so many different ways that I can't quite give a blanket response for all of them. I will say some are great and some are not great. In general, what I don't like about them is that they tend to overinflate what you can get just by going to a boot camp. I don't think a boot camp is able to just magically make you into a full stack engineer in 12 weeks or in 4 months or whatever they tell you is the time frame. I think that's a little bit disingenuous because I've hired a lot of bootcamp grads and I've interviewed many, many more. I don't think that they have the skills that their bootcamp directors are telling them that they will have. I think so much of that has to be personal decision. So don't rely on your bootcamp to teach you those things. Make sure you're going into it and learning them intentionally. And please go into it with the desire to actually learn something and get a specific job, instead of just saying, I want to be in tech, so I'm going to do this bootcamp, then magically I'll be in tech. Really try and find a role that you want to go for and then take the bootcamp in order to get that specific role. So that's my feedback on bootcamps. There are some good ones, some that aren't as good, but make sure you go into it from a personal desire to learn something specific, and I think you'll be fine. Okay, do you still write code? Yes, I do write code. I love writing code. It's fun to do. It's not necessarily what I'm paid to do anymore because we have a team and they're fantastic engineers that are better than I am, but I do like to write code every so often. One of my companies is built on an app that I wrote myself, and it's super fun to dive in and write code. So I'll help with code reviews and I'll do certain things to try and help out the team, but it's not my day job right now. I just kind of do it on occasion when I have the chance to. So not as much, but I do still love it, and I still try to keep up my skills as best I can. So I'm really excited to keep growing this channel, and I really want to give the advice that I wish I had when I had first started my journey growing these software companies. I think there are so many pieces of information that I wish dearly that I had when I first started, so hopefully I can convey some of those. If you want to see a playlist on getting a job in tech or starting off as a junior developer, that I made right over here, so you can take a look at those videos and hopefully they help you out. And I will see you in the next video.